Hello everyone, and welcome to the third instalment of the Virgin Way Belonging Sessions. I'm Lisa Thomas and I'm your host for today's session, and our focus today is going to be on gender equality in the workplace. I'm Virgin's Global Chief Brand Officer and I'm also Managing Director of Virgin Enterprises. And until very recently, I was president of an organisation called WACL, an organisation that exists to accelerate gender equality across the media, marketing and communications industry. As a mum and a working mum at that, and a member of WACL, this is something that is very close to my heart. Most employees still think that women are well represented within organisations. And because they become comfortable with the status quo, fewer women than men are hired at the entry level, despite women being 57% of recent college graduates. And women of colour face an even steeper drop-off at senior levels. These are the facts. But there are several myths that are commonplace within the workplace, and these myths are used to downplay the idea that gender equality remains an issue. Today, we're debunking some of those myths. To do this, we are joined by two incredible women. Jolie Brearley is the founder of the charity and campaigning group Pregnant Then Screwed, which she established in 2015 after her own experience of pregnancy discrimination. Scarlett Curtis is a writer, activist, podcaster and journalist. In 2017, Scarlett co-founded The Pink Protest, a feminist activist collective committed to helping young people take action online and in real life. At Virgin, we are committed to creating a culture of belonging, inclusivity and equality at work. And I'm excited to see the progress that a number of businesses from across the group have taken in tackling the challenge. From Virgin Media, who've made great strides in reducing the gender pay gap, to Virgin Atlantic and Virgin Holidays and their Scarlet Women network, and to Virgin Startup's commitment to becoming the first business funder to pledge 50-50 in investment in gender equality for startups by the end of 2020. We profoundly believe that it is important to address the inequalities women face in the workplace well before women get to working age. Stereotypes are embedded from the very start, and these can unduly influence confidence and ambition from the outset. To really reimagining the role of women in the workplace, it is also critical to reimagine household structures, traditional family roles, work-life balance and childcare arrangements. For example, shared parental leave policies, which has been a real focus for us here at Virgin Management. Men also have a critical role to play in readdressing the workplace balance, and genuine awareness, understanding and engagement is the first step. Feminine traits are the future, and we need to harness that. We recognise that gender identities are fluid and that identities themselves are complex and multifaceted. So it's important to proactively hear from different voices and to consider intersectionality. I'm now going to hand over to Jolie.
Hello everybody, thank you very much for having me. I want to start by telling you a story about a brilliant woman called Sophia. I first met Sophia 2 years ago in a cafe in Manchester, and as I can't share a picture of her with you, I'll paint a picture. She had big curly auburn hair, a great big smile and a fidgety toddler strapped to her calf. We ordered some frothy coffees and we went to sit down, and her daughter inhaled a sticky toffee brownie which went all over her face and all over the table. And as that happened, Sophia told me the story about how her career had been snatched away from her when she became a mother. Sophia was an industrial production manager, a job that sounded so technical and complex. I honestly had no idea what she was talking about. So I just nodded politely as she explained the intricacies of her job. But she was clearly very respected in her role and had an enormous amount of skills and experience, and she'd worked her way up over the last 5 years. Sophia then discovered that she was pregnant, and her and her husband discussed taking shared parental leave. She wanted to return to work, and he obviously wanted to spend some time with his new vulnerable daughter. But when they looked into it, they realised that it wasn't financially viable, and it made much more sense financially for Sophia to take the full period of leave as maternity. So that's what she did. After 9 months, she was about to return to work, and she submitted a flexible working request. And she needed flexible working because she wanted to reduce her reliance on childcare because it was so expensive, but also because she had now had all this unpaid labour that she had to do. She was now the main carer for their daughter because she'd taken 9 months off, and she had all this extra load of cooking and cleaning and shopping and the appointments for her daughter and the bills to pay. Her flexible working request was rejected, and that meant that she needed childcare from 7 in the morning till 8 p.m. at night, 5 days a week. Her take-home pay after childcare costs was £25 a month. £25 a month for a 52-hour working week. She tried to make it work, but after 2 months, she gave up. She was exhausted, she was stressed, she missed her daughter terribly, and she was flat broke. So with tears in her eyes, she handed in her resignation, and now she has a part-time job in Wetherspoons. Her and her partner can now coordinate things, so their reliance on childcare is far less, and this means that her take-home pay is now £200 a month. And when I asked Sophia if she felt that it was the right decision, considering she'd just given up on a career she'd spent 5 years developing, she looked me dead in the eye and said, "What would you do if you had a chance to see your child much more, to work fewer hours and to earn more money?" And it took me about 2 seconds to realise that I would have done exactly the same thing. The gender pay gap in the UK is just over 17%, and that's the difference between all workers, but it's based on an hourly rate of pay. When we talk about the gender pay gap, there tend to be 3 different types of people. There are those who think the gender pay gap is completely made up by deranged feminists like me. There are those who think the gender pay gap exists, but it's the result of the choices that women make about family and work. And then there are those that get it. And amongst Virgin, there will be people that sit in all 3 of those camps. Hopefully there's not too many of you that think I'm a deranged feminist. I don't mind being a feminist, but not so much the deranged. Today we're not going to talk about the first camp. We're going to talk about this myth that the gender pay gap is the result of the free choices that women make about family and work, because women don't choose to be paid less than men. Women encounter very specific structural barriers in the workplace when they have children and a career. And as Sophia's story exemplifies, the gender pay gap isn't so much about gender at all. In fact, the pay difference between mothers and childless women is far more than the pay gap between men and women without children. Essentially, the gender pay gap is a motherhood gap. Part of this is bias and deeply entrenched gender stereotypes. Time and time again, research has shown that people see mothers as less competent and less committed than other types of employees. In fact, when women have children, for every child that they have, their pay decreases. For every child that a man has, his pay increases. Fathers are paid 21% more than men without children, and that's looking at the similar jobs in similar sectors. Yet by the time a woman's first child is 12 years old, her hourly pay rate is 33% behind a man's. A third of employers avoid hiring women of childbearing age. So if you were between the age of, I don't know,